Hey everybody, it's me JD. I thought I would do something a little bit different today and make a top 5 video. More specifically, a top 5 video of my personal favorite cars on iRacing so far. I say so far because, they're always adding cars and they're always adding new things and it can change over time. But as it sits right now, I got a good mix of cars here that I really enjoy driving. I've been on for a little while now, so I think I got a good grip of what's going on. And even though I mostly race NASCAR oval, I do love road. I do love dirt road and dirt oval. Pretty much anything you can find me anywhere, but I do specialize in oval probably more than anything. This was a lot of fun to throw together, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and maybe I'll make a series out of this. So we'll see. But let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, we have a car that is probably the biggest surprise on here, and that is the oval sprint car. Yeah, I know. I've never actually driven in a race with this thing. I've only taken it out on test sessions, but boy is it a lot of fun to drive. It has so much power. You get on that gas and it just wants to spin. It's so much fun. I wish it was more popular. I've been hearing a lot of talk lately that it's going to be a legacy car simply because nobody, not very many people race in the oval sprint car. That's a series that's not very popular. Now, I am aware that there is a group out there that still keeps it alive, and I think they meet once a week. I just wish I knew when that was so I could try my luck with them. I'd probably get killed, or I'd probably kill somebody in there. But I'm dying to race in this thing. I love it, and I really hope iRacing doesn't get rid of it or make it a legacy car, because I'd like to at least try it once. But it's number 5. And now at number 4, we have the Formula Renault. Oh, I pray that I'm saying that right. 3.5. The Formula Renault 3.5. And the first thing I think of when I see this thing is grip. There are not too many more satisfying feelings than when you hit the apex perfectly in this thing. I really enjoy it. It's just such a fun car. It really reminds me of the Formula One cars of the 90s. I don't know if it actually is, and if it's just an older car. I don't know the entire history on this thing, but it just reminds me of that time period for Formula One. And it's not as fast as the modern Formula One cars, so you have a little bit more room for error. I have raced in Formula One races before. I used to have an A license, but I lost it when I ran those. It was way too hard to control, and I just made people mad, and so I'm trying to get back into it. But I really love this particular car because it's not as fast, it's easier to control, and it's just a lot of fun. The one thing I've noticed with it is braking seems to be everything with it, and that downforce is extremely satisfying. And it's usually a pretty good lobby. There's usually a good number of people in there, and competition is very fierce. I just ran a race in these the other day where the guy who was the number 1 car had an I rating over 8,000. Needless to say, I lost. Rolling in at number 3, we have a car that I have very recently fallen in love with, and that is the Dirt Street Stock. Let me paint you a picture. It's Friday night, the sun is setting, the lights are on the track, you can smell the boiled Cajun peanuts, which is a personal favorite of mine, but it's got that Friday night vibe. I don't know how else to describe it than that, but this car has been a ton of fun lately. And the thing is it's easy to drive, relatively speaking to other dirt cars, in my opinion. It's tough. You can bump around in it. People are usually pretty chill. I mean, they don't seem to get too upset if you kind of rub and race a little. But it's a really fun car. I can't wait to get more familiar with it. The last video I even put out, I was racing with a bunch of the guys in the iCrash Weekly community, and we had a lot of fun. So this one definitely is number 3. The only way I can properly describe number 2 is to just call it nostalgia on wheels. It's actually one of the very first cars I ever bought on iRacing, and that's the Corvette C6R GT1. Now, like I'm sure much of you, when I was a kid, my dad and my mom got me Gran Turismo for the original PlayStation, and I that is how I fell in love with cars and racing in general. I really, really love this car because it reminds me of those days. I used to drive Camaros and Corvettes in that thing like crazy, and it just really reminds me of those cars. In this, though, it is one of the most difficult cars to drive, in my opinion. I spin the wheels, I lock the brakes so easily, but it is just a driver's car. Like you are only limited by your skill with this thing, and it will definitely tell you what you need to work on. Not to mention, it just sounds like a beast. I really the GT Challenge series is what it runs in, and it's not like much of these cars that are on this list. Sadly, it's just not the most popular car. You know, not a lot of people race that series, but it doesn't stop me from taking it on a trip around the Nürburgring. Before we get into number one, I just wanted to give a quick little nod to a couple honorable mentions. And believe it or not, this was actually kind of a hard list to narrow down. I've been working on it for a while, and these cars deserve a special place in my heart, and it just felt wrong not to at least include them a little bit. And the first one on this list is going to be the Street Stock. And it's the first car I drove on iRacing. I still enjoy it to this day. It's it looks like an old Camaro. I mean, what's not to love, you know? The only thing that's kind of rough with this thing is if you're in a race, especially, God help you if you ever race at Charlotte and the rookies on this thing, passing is really hard in it. But on the plus side, you can kind of spin it around. It's easier to control. You know, there's a lot of times you can slide in it. You know, it's a good car. I really like it. And you can kind of push people around in it. That's fun. It's always fun to do that. And the other one is the Volkswagen Beetle. This car is surprisingly quick. Like, you get off the first gear and it really takes off. And not to mention, it's a lot of fun to go over some jumps in it. Just looks like such a happy car when it's flying through the air. And dirt road is a lot of fun because people are usually at least in my experience, don't quote me on this, but in my experience, people are usually pretty chill in the dirt road side of things. So that's pretty cool. If you've been following my channel for any amount of time, number one shouldn't be too much of a surprise, because if there's one series that I spend more time in than any of them, that's the NASCAR Legends Series, which is also known as the 87s. But the car that I like more than any of them is the NASCAR 1987 Buick. Might be wondering why the Buick. Now, I am a Chevy guy through and through. I love Chevrolet. All I've ever bought in real life are Chevrolets. And I love the Monte Carlo. The 80s Monte Carlos are just some of the cleanest, most beautiful cars I've ever seen. But this Buick LeSabre, I just really love the way it feels. To me, it feels a lot more stable and rigid, and it's a lot easier to control. I have a suspicion that it's not as quick as the Thunderbird or the Monte Carlo on super speedways. At least that's how it feels to me. And I own both of those cars too, by the way. I love the Thunderbird, I love the Monte Carlo, but this Buick LeSabre I just really, really like. And it just looks good. It sounds good, it looks good. It's just a satisfying automobile. And with this news of the Pontiac Grand Prix coming out for the 87s, like that's who was it? Which one of you guys was it that I was talking to months ago in the comments section about that? How we need the Pontiac. And whoever that was, let me know, because I'm dying to know who you were, because we were talking about it, and I just thought that was really cool. But yep, that is definitely so far my favorite car in iRacing. And there we have it, guys. That's my top 5 favorite cars in iRacing. So far. It can always change. I really hope you guys like this. Do you guys want to see this as a series? Because top 5s can be used for anything. I could do tracks, cars. If enough people like this, if you guys want, I'll do my top 5 least favorite cars if you guys want. Just let me know if you want to see more of this. I would really appreciate any honest feedback, no matter how good, no matter how bad. You can criticize me, you know, whatever you want. Any feedback is appreciated. So I love you guys so much. You guys are the whole reason that this channel exists, and you have no idea how much you mean to me. And I just appreciate all the kindness that you show me and my dad on here as well. He gets a kick out of talking to you guys too, so make sure you say hi to him if you see him. And love you guys, and enjoy the rest of your night, and God bless.